Welcome into the Boardroom podcast. I'm Ward 6 Alderman Ben Piper.
I'm Chad Wicker from Ward 4. What's up,
Well,
man?
it's fall.
Yeah.
Fall's here. It's crisp in the morning now.
It is kind of cool this morning. You
Tell
still
what,
running?
I tell you what, I have taken some time off. Man, I tell
You retire?
No. Man, I tell you, that last
10K?
after the 10K, my ankle swole up. It was not good. So I needed to take a break. Everyone that I talked to was like, you need to take some time off because you can definitely have some issues there. So I've had some short runs, but I haven't pushed anything real far just yet. So yeah, we'll have to just keep building back up to it some, and getting ready for the winter time. All the holiday season's getting here. Excited about that.
Yeah, Thanksgiving next week.
Christmas is right around the corner. I know everybody's getting ready for that, especially if you got kids. They've been talking about it for a month now. So.
Yeah, well, we been back. I think we took a meeting off. I was out of town, and so we missed really wasn't a lot of stuff on that meeting. I guess there was some stuff at the meeting, but it wasn't not a whole lot. It was election day as well, so I think this is our first podcast since
we had the
presidential election.
Well, since that's right. So I mean, a huge huge presidential victory for Donald Trump. 312 electoral votes. Really just no surprise. Mississippi turned out for Donald Trump, and DeSoto County as well. 61. I think 61% of the vote for Donald Trump as well. But not a big shocker there by any means.
Right.
I think everybody was just kind of waiting to see. Would he win and by how much of a margin? But yeah, stayed up late that evening watching it and watching it roll in, and it seems like there's already some speculation with new appointees and all the things that are going on. So I'm sure people are following that closely as well. But here locally, it's been it's been somewhat interesting here lately. We've had a little bit of a packed house on Tuesday at our board meeting.
Yeah, we did.
For sure. Before we jump into what that issue was, you may have already heard about it, but we did have a few things going. We gave a community service award for the fourth quarter of 2024 to the Hernando Youth Football Association, or HIFA. The founding members of that, or the founding individuals for that organization, some of the first coaches and just the people that have really been involved with it over time, they were all honored.
So HIFA started 2003, so it's 21 years old now. It's doing very well. I coached a flag football team this year, so we had 4 flag football teams. It's a very healthy organization moving forward, and so it's great to see something like that was started as basically, as they said at the meeting, basically San Antonio had a league and they asked if they have a team, and one team grew into what it is now. And I think that there's a Northwest Youth Football Association they're part of, and so like we play teams from San Antonio, Horn Lake, South Haven, Hernando. Olive Branch does their own little thing, but we play all the other cities, and it's really, really fun league. And football is very popular in this area, Ben. So it's great, and the kids get out there and get to play and get some experience, and I think that transitions into the middle school and high school years where they can then play high school football and maybe make the product a little better, because football, is one of those sports where you use repetition. So
that's right. And sometimes it's, you got to do a lot of work when nobody's watching to, for it to make a difference when you actually play in the game. And
that's right.
It definitely has some parallels to life for sure.
Well, it's almost not the same game from what when I play. I don't know if you played high school football or middle school football, but we did a lot of 34 belly, run up the middle, run to the side. Run. Now they're with the spread offenses and throwing the ball around. I mean, they're throwing the ball around at 12 years old. It's almost a different game than what we played growing up. So
yeah, it's kind of like basketball on grass. I know that's how the game's kind of shifted some, but. There's still some good hard-nosed football out there, triple option wishbone teams, in some of these smaller towns in Mississippi. But it's interesting to watch it.
Ben, one thing I don't think we've brought up on the show is that every meeting we have the Pledge of Allegiance, so since I've been on the board, I've reached out to. We start out with different schools and having a student from each school. We start out at Hernando Elementary, Hernando Hills, Oak Grove Elementary, and so this year we have the local Boy Scout group, PAC 141, which is the Hernando group, and every meeting they have one or two guys come up and lead the pledge. And so Jacob Highsaw was the Boy Scout that led the pledge at the last meeting. So you'll see that at each meeting going forward until the summertime. So.
Yeah, a really cool way to, give those kids a nod and let them do something fun to kind of kick the meeting off and show that they're patriotic and, makes them a little part of the process and, kind of what we do. So it's,
I think they're required to get some type of volunteer hour, so it helps them go, I think, towards a badge or something.
Okay.
I wasn't a Boy Scout. Were you a Boy Scout?
I was not.
I didn't.
They had something like before Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts called like the Tiger Scouts or something like that.
I did Cub Scouts for one I guess season or whatever, and just never kept with it. So
I feel like I got recruited into Tiger Scouts because my dad worked at Delta Airlines corporate in Atlanta, and one of our first meetings that I went to, we went to one of the airplane hangars and got to go through some planes or whatever, which I had done before, but all the other kids got to do it, and then like I wasn't part of the group very much longer after that because I was just kind of like I'm not into this right now. But I was probably 5 or 6 years old. That was a long time ago, but I'm glad for everybody else that got to go to the airplane hangar and got to visit it. We had Haifa. Congratulations to all those gentlemen. I don't want to try to list them all off because I don't want to miss anybody. But there are several of them in attendance. Miss Maureen Morgan, 90th birthday coming up. Proclamation for her.
I think she's got a surprise birthday party, so if she's a listener, we're in bad shape here.
Well, she's just gonna have to. Yeah. Well, the mayor's coming, and he's got a piece of paper for you to congratulate you on your 90th birthday, Miss Maureen. But
hey, that's a big milestone.
It is. That's a massive. I do not know many people that have got personally that have reached 90 years old. So that is a great accomplishment. The Mackinville overlay. I know a lot of people have had questions around that. So. Mackinville will be paved from 269 to Pleasant Hill Road. It's 5 lanes of paving, striping in front of the new high school that's being constructed.
Right.
Just some further paperwork on that to make sure that gets done in time for August when school goes back into session 2025.
And Ben, on that issue, I know we both have been very adamant to have that done before the school opens in August, and so again, we asked the mayor and the planning director about that, and they assured us that the contract is going to be done, and construction has to be completed by the end of June, or there's a penalty in place. So that's the same thing we did with the roundabout at Oak Grove and 51. We had a language in the contract there. If it wasn't done at a certain time, there was a pretty hefty penalty to make sure they stayed with that. So, but you never know how weather and things like that happen. If we get a rainy summer, or spring, or whatever. But
there's time to get it done. There's the money's there to get it done. Give me a bucket of paint and a paintbrush, and I'll start painting the stripes on it if it comes down to it. We'll get that thing done.
That's a dedicated alderman right there.
Yeah, Ward 6, painting stripes. We'll make it happen.
I heard that you were out digging. You were out pulling stuff out of the gutters that day when we had a little rain. Is that true? Somebody said they got a picture of you doing that.
Oh my gosh! Did somebody get a picture of me doing that? Yeah, I did. I did go clear some drains during that storm because there was some roads that were holding a lot of water, and it was also a trash day. So there were some trash cans that had literally the water had picked up the trash cans and moved them over the drain. So I was just trying to clear some of those things out. I did not realize that was a thing that was.
That's Andrew Miller level right there.
I'm not gonna put it that far now. Come on. But we did have so that's Mackinville over that. We did have a RFP, or a request for proposal, for independent contractors to provide concession stands for soccer, baseball, softball, and t-ball in 2025. The folks that are doing that currently have decided not to continue doing it. I want to say within the contract, the city's looking to try to rent those concession stands for $1,000 a piece. So hopefully, I think that's something that we need to get out there. Because I think people enjoy having concessions at these events, and it's not something that the city wants to staff and try to manage, and as far as keeping food and beverage and inventories and all this kind of stuff.
I think this is another example, Ben, of trying to run that that facility in a professional manner. Mm-hmm. We've hired a company to help us get sponsorships and things like that, and this is just another step, I think, in making sure that's a professionally run organization. Maybe that will help with some of the issues we've had out there historically. Mm-hmm. I hadn't really heard of a lot recently, but historically there's been issues there and this is just another step, I think, to make sure it's a professionally ran facility. And then, we're also opening the hopefully do some groundbreaking on the Four Diamonds and stuff out there by the in March sometime, I think, is what I was told. So,
and I do think that, if for some reason the RFPs to come back and none of them are something that we want to accept or deal with, there's still the opportunity to have food trucks, out there as a,
sure.
As kind of like a Band-Aid for a period of time. People, you can always bring your own food and drink to any of the parks. If your kids are competing in sports, and I think a lot of people do. I know that's what we typically do, but it is a nice convenience to have a concession stand out there and get a little food and drink if you need it.
Nothing better than some jalapeno nachos, man, at a baseball field with a Coke. I think that's the go-to for me.
I'm more of I like the peanuts.
The peanuts you like put them in the Coke?
I like peanuts in the Coke, or just shelling peanuts and just like. Yeah, that's watching a baseball game like that's where it's at. So then we had about an hour and a half of discussion.
About what? Over
the Pleasant Hill Express C4 rezoning, right there at the corner of Pleasant Hill and Mackingvale. If you aren't already aware, there is a convenience store gas station proposed for the southwest corner of that intersection. The city has control over 3 of the 4 corners at that intersection, and this is basically a situation where there's a residential property that's about 4 acres that would be getting rezoned from AR or agricultural residential to C4 commercial 4. Obviously a beautiful building. When it was denied by the Planning Commission, when it was a different design, it's been redesigned and kind of put at a 45-degree angle on the property to make it, I think, a little more attractive of a building, nicer building. It's a brick, mostly brick building from what it showed in the design there. But the biggest concerns, I think, for most of the residents were, one, just the traffic at that intersection, which I think is an ongoing. Whether or not this was approved, the traffic is an issue, right?
Yes.
The traffic is a problem.
Traffic is an issue in Hernando, period.
Right.
I think in every major intersection, traffic's an issue. Is that fair to say?
I mean, I think that's it's objective, right? So it's something where it depends on the time of day and some of these other things. It's really the safety around the intersection. Like, this is a 2-way stop.
Right.
There's Sweeney's been cut through up in that area by the county, so now it's truly a 4-way. Really, it was a 2-way before, but there wasn't much traffic headed south on Sweeney because it was just the people that lived on that road. So there wasn't much to it. Well, now there's quite a bit more traffic just coming in and around that intersection, and people are worried about how much more volume the high school is going to bring, and that's something we can model right with engineers, but we don't really necessarily know. And so I completely understand that side of it, that a commercial business, does it bring more traffic or not?
So this is the southwest corner of that intersection, correct?
That's correct. So the redesign on the building caused it to reduce in size. So it's a 5,800 square foot building. The gas pumps will be located towards the back of the building along with the parking. It is not a truck stop. I think the mayor mentioned that to kind of open up the conversation. It's not a truck stop. It's just a traditional, convenience store with, a bay, commercial bay attached to it that could be, a bakery, or it could be, some kind of carry-out restaurant. It could be a financial services, small bank, somewhere you could go and put an ATM in and come and get cash or something like that. There was, what else was there? An art studio. There's a lot of different options there. I got a list
right here. I can tell you what they were.
Sure, go ahead.
Let me pull it up here. They redesigned it. It's the same people who are doing the gas station at Church and Getwell there. Where if you notice the tanks are in the back. I think it's called a false front, I believe. So it looks like you're looking at the front of the building is actually the back of the building. But so it's a convenience store, and then also is going to have a bay. In that bay, we took some permitted uses away, but this is what it could possibly be. art or photo studio, a bakery, barbershop, cleaning pickup station like dry cleaning, a daycare center, doctor's office, a drugstore, exercise center, financial services like a bank or something, flower or plant store, grocery store, office building, post office or postal facility, public service facility, print shop, restaurant and carry out, a retail shop, and that's basically the permitted uses that can be there. There was a lot of discussion about a liquor store or a vape. What do you call those things? Vape cigarettes or whatever. Going there. I don't think that a liquor store could go there because of the proximity to the high school.
But they took it out of the uses.
Yeah, but by
anyway.
state law, so I don't think one could go there anyway. Now, as far as I think you asked a question at the meeting, Ben, if I'm correct, that you or somebody asked a question about maybe removing the ability of the store to sell vapor cigarettes because of the threat of being children purchasing those. I think we were told at the meeting that that's not possible because you'd have to do that either for every convenience store. I think one way that we may that I thought about since the meeting is maybe have a city ordinance that restricts those items at a certain proximity to a school. We could do something like that. I think would be legal. But we have a law in place now. You have to be 18, or I think you have to be 21 to buy those anyway. Now, if you have somebody who's not checking IDs or whatever, that's against the law currently. So, not sure if another law is needed to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've gotten so many. I have had so many parents reach out to me just about vaping and in general and this stuff, kratom, the KRATOM substance, I guess, that's not very regulated, and the more it's
in the legislature, Ben. There's been the last several sessions of the legislature. There has been a growing movement to make kratom, for example, illegal to sell in Mississippi. Just hadn't got full support.
Yeah, and I don't know. That's one of those things that it may be a question for our attorney, or you may be able to answer it. Where it's, that I've kind of proposed, like, can we prohibit certain items from being sold in the city, or would you need a referendum to do it, or what exactly would it look like? And then there's part of me that's sort of like, look, this is a free country, and if you're 18 years old and you're able to vote and all these things, then you should be able to do what you want to do within certain reason, and including what you put into your body, right? And if that's something that you want to consume, then you certainly can. I think the big concern for parents is that that IDs aren't being checked, and that's kind of the bad that comes with some of these types of businesses. That's what our parents' concerns are, and I certainly have those same concerns. But as we look at a new, $120 million high school being constructed there across from this proposed development, that was another, thought that some of the folks had there, is that this high school is going to add to the property value surrounding it, and that this convenience store would only take away from it. I think that's something that you could argue either way. Just depending on who's looking at your home. There's some people that would see that as a amenity to have a gas station nearby, and other people wouldn't. It really just depends on what kind of community partner you have that owns that business, and so the lot waited to be seen. Ultimately it was denied by the Planning Commission, and the Board of Alderman overturned it with a 5-2 vote.
That's right.
I had a lot of residents in Ward 6 reach out to me, wanting me to vote against it. So, that really, influenced me for sure, because you want to try to represent the people as best you can.
Absolutely.
And, tried to, certainly negotiate with the developer as well, to say, hey, what could you do, to, could this be a different kind of business? What would this building look like if it wasn't a convenience store, if it was something else that you could, lease out, as office spaces? Those conversations were had and, generated, and it just didn't work out. But, I think that it's something that everyone in that area, everybody that's in the Nesbitt area, knows that the area is changing. They probably feel like it's very rapidly changing. It is kind of slowly but surely changing. I feel like that we've done a pretty decent job as a city to keep certain types of developments out of the city. I know that we had the opportunity on several occasions where people have come to us wanting more warehouses along these corridors, and That's been a non-starter for this board and for this administration. So,
right.
That's it's something that I feel like people in the community just don't want. And we gotta listen to the constituents that are out there and represent them.
Yeah. So Ben, I mean, we had probably, what do you think, 12 to 15 people get up and speak.
Yeah, that's probably
and
right.
I would say I think there was 2 people that supported the convenience store.
That's right.
And the majority of those people live in that vicinity there. And there's a couple of issues I want to kind of just discuss with the listeners and you. Is the city does not. We don't tell what business can come where. All we could do is set a zoning area, and we review an application in front of us. So this piece of property was currently a residential piece of property, and then the applicant, who I don't know if he's purchased the land or in the process of purchasing the land, the sale was probably contingent on getting this zoning change. And so when we're looking at these applications, there's a criteria that we have to follow, Ben. And I understand everybody has to make their own decision, but there is a legal criteria. We can't just deny things just because that people don't want a convenience store. I understand that, and but I mean there's a legal requirement there, and so I think we differed on this. I supported the convenience store there because I felt like there had been a significant economic change in that area. There's a high school coming there. The interstate was put in there. I've been told by the county. I talked to the road manager that they're going to have a traffic signal put in there before the school opens temporarily, and then they're going to do some type of signal there with the help from the city. So I think that relieved the traffic issue. The police chief got up and spoke about crime in that area and crime with
that was pretty interesting.
At the gas stations in town, he said and I'm trying to remember back. I'm 40 years old now, so my memory's not as good as it used to be. But I think he said we have 15. Currently, we have 15. Well, this will be the 16th, but 15 gas stations, convenience stores in the city limits. And in the last 4 years, they'd been like 36 incidents, where the police were called to the gas station, and I think most of those were people driving off with gas or public drunk. I would consider a minor crime. And I think he said there had been one burglary or robbery at 15 gas stations in 4 years. So, and quoting him, I think he basically said that crime happens everywhere, but there's no data to support that a gas station there is going to be a huge crime target.
Sure.
Is that fair to say? I think it's what he basically
said.
I think
what the police chief told me kind of when I had a conversation with him about it is that any commercial property is a target for crime, whether it's a bank, it's an insurance agency, it's a gas station, it's a restaurant, it's whatever. People look at it and say, well, there might be some money inside it, or there might be something I want to take and pawn or whatever else. So anything commercial is going to have, a potential for crime. But there's no evidence really, at least in our community, that is more targeted than something else.
We are still fortunate. We still have, in Hernando, we have a great police department. We've increased police officers since we've been on this board. Public safety has been important to everybody on the board and the mayor. And we don't have the crime problem that some of our neighboring cities have right now. We just don't. But, another thing I want to talk about is, that they were mentioned a lot about our general development plan or our comprehensive plan. So we currently, what we have that's approved by the Board of Alderman was approved, Ben, in 2007. Okay? I think we were both graduating from Ole Miss or was still in college at that point.
Pretty much.
So that's all we have to go on. Now, I think that, to be fair, that plan was developed to be like a 20-year plan. But that was developed before the high school was ever put out there, before the interstate was ever opened up out there. Before
2000 what now?
7.
What year is it now?
2024. So it's almost 20 years.
It's almost 2025.
Yeah, well, 2020. So almost 18 years ago.
Maybe about time.
And so now I think the prior administration was working on a new comprehensive plan and got tied up in COVID. And then I
remember that.
Yeah, so there was some work done in 2021 on a new one. The plan kind of stalled, and then you had a new mayor come in. The gentleman who they hired to do the comprehensive plan, if you remember, did a presentation at City Hall, and
right.
And I don't think people were really jumping up and down about his plan, and so he went back to the drawing board. Then he came back to the city and said, "Hey, I'm just too busy. I can't finish this." So we this board has hired a new consultant to finish that plan, and that's in the process to hopefully be done this year. So I'm saying all that to say, there was a lot of talk by residents that this doesn't conform to the general development plan. Well, the general development plan for the city of Hernando was outdated.
Right.
To think that area there is going to be residential in the foreseeable future is just not true. And I think everybody agrees with that, don't you, Ben? I mean, all four of those corners are going to be commercial at some point in the next 10 years.
Right. In 2007, there was, 269 was not 269. It was just I-69 at that point. So now 269 is completely opened up, which changed things. The McInville corridor, the renewed McInville has opened up, which is a change. Sweeney Road has been opened up, like we mentioned, and then the high school development is a big part of it. Added in with that, the 1,300 acres or so of farmland that surrounds that high school in Nesbitt area. Portions of it are being sold off, and some of it was rezoned in 2007 or 2008, right after that plan was designed. And so that's where some of those changes have come in that were unexpected. We had some very bad economic conditions shortly after 2007. I don't know if you remember it. We were kind of going to the job market at the time. And it sort of stymied a lot of that growth. I think there was a lot of economic stagnancy for a while, for 4 or 5 years, and things didn't really progress a whole lot. And, then slowly after, things have kind of, there's been some more momentum that's been slowly growing, until recently.
Well, I think the governor, his new slogan I've heard him use several times is Mississippi on the move or something like to that effect. Well, I think Hernando's on the move. We have, seems like every week we have a ribbon cutting or two of new businesses coming to Hernando. I think we're trying to change the perception of the business climate here, and we're working towards that. This is another new business that's going to open. I think Hernando's on the move.
Yeah, there's absolutely some thought, I think, as well, to where some of these new businesses are being located and some of these new homes are being built and whatnot, that there will be traffic that will be pulled to different parts of the city, whether it's out in the Getwell corridor or the McInville corridor. Traffic will get a little bit pulled off of Commerce because there will be new businesses to potentially go to.
That's right. And growth is tough. What we've talked about on this podcast, Ben, about we have good problems. We get to kind of determine what type of business comes to Hernando. We can be picky sometimes, and a lot of areas in Mississippi don't have that not fortunate enough to do that, and so good problem to have, but it's also tough. I mean, those people that live right there, they 100% did not want that, and I think they voiced that with you very strongly, and I understand why you chose not to vote for it. But I think if you look at it objectively in the entire city, what's in the best interest, and I think this fits what we're trying to do.
Well, I think another thing,
in my opinion,
another thing that we've had happen in Hernando, like really, really obviously, is the area just outside the city limits.
Yes.
Right. So think of the number of neighborhoods that have been developed just outside the city limits that have added literally, hundreds and hundreds of homes. And, they're all different, levels of, some of them are $300,000 a home. Some of them are $1 million homes, right? Yeah. That have been built just outside the city limits. But those people go to the gas stations, go to the grocery store. They use all kind of city services, but they're not, they're not voters, they're not constituents, for the city of Hernando, but they are like customers, right? Because they're on our water system for the most part, and they use a lot of the same things. So that has been one of the pieces of it where, yes, like within the city limits there is some growth, but in the county outside of Hernando there has been a lot of growth. Compared to, probably when you were growing up here 20 years ago, if you drove out Bright Road.
Nothing out. I mean, there was stuff out there, but it was not developed like it is now.
Or you drove out Holly Springs Road and you got past, Getwell or whatever. I mean, there was not a whole lot out there. You go down to Slocum Road or some of these other surrounding areas, there wasn't a whole lot of homes out that way. But things have changed. So it's our job as city officials, it's our honor as city officials to serve and try to manage those changes as best we can.
And it's a tough decision. It's very difficult. I know there were some people who were very adamantly against this, and there's some people who are very strongly in favor of it. And so it's very. I have friends on both sides of it, so it's very difficult to make a decision. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to explain why I made the decision I made. So.
That's right. And you don't always like if you're against or for something, it's not necessarily means that you're 100%. It's just you might be 65% for it, and there's some things about it you're not really crazy about. Sure. Same thing with me. I voted against it, but there were things about it that I didn't necessarily have a problem with. The fact that there's 3 other gas stations on that street. Well, hey, competition's good for everybody, right?
That's right.
I think we can all believe that as capitalist Americans. If you have 4 gas stations competing for your business, you know what that means? Prices is going to go down because they're going to want to have the lowest gas price on the street. Mm-hmm. That means you might save a few dollars at the gas pump. Or whatever else, or you're going to be able to frequent the one that's the nicest and cleanest, or whatever else, and that's the one that's going to win, in the long run. So that's a good thing for the consumer is that you're going to have a better place to do business, and you'll be able to speak with your pocketbook on what kind of place you want to go to. I also think that the quality of this building is going to set the standard for future developments on that road. As much time and effort went into the design of this and what was required, that was for a gas station convenience store.
Yeah.
So imagine if you decide you want to have a medical office complex. Well, hey, look how much they put into that convenience store over there. That's going to be the same level of scrutiny that we're going to be under. So we need to really bring a great design to the city of Hernando. That's another way to look at it, potentially.
Sure. Well, anything else on that?
No, I mean, that one was well discussed for sure, and I'm sure folks are.
I encourage people to go back and if they want to, if they're really interested into it, look at the YouTube, the city YouTube channel, and watch that meeting. He shows pictures and renderings of that intersection and what hopefully will happen there, and that's going to be an area that we're going to be looking at. Probably, it's kind of unique in that part of it, a corner of it, is in the county, and the other 3 corners are in the city. So I think that's right. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So
that's correct.
It's kind of weird in that effect. So.
Well, coming up, we got Thanksgiving is next week. I don't know, you got big Thanksgiving plans, or y'all just?
We always go down. So my wife's family's from Brandon. We always go down there and spend Thanksgiving down there. I'm in charge of making the turkey this year, so I'm gonna pick out me a nice little turkey. Okay. Probably actually gonna buy it tomorrow and start letting it thaw out so we can. I like doing a 2-day brine.
Okay.
Brine it for 2 days and then gonna smoke it.
Okay. All right. Good. We're just doing the Hernando Thanksgiving with some family and over at the mother-in-law's house, and sure it'll be a great time. And we've got some casseroles that we bought from the Catholic ladies group. There they make casseroles every year, and so we bought some from them. We got some that we're gonna make on our own as well. Turkey and all the good stuff. You got like a favorite side? Is there anything specifically you're like looking forward to?
Ben, I really enjoy a good green bean casserole.
Okay.
If it's done right. Okay. I like a good green bean casserole and a pecan pie.
Yeah, pecan pie. Okay.
So, but that's my go-to. I like and pumpkin pie if they have that. But those little turkey, little dressing, little green green bean casserole, and then Shelby's mother usually makes like some broccoli and bacon kind of deal. Okay, that's pretty good too. But anyway,
I want to say my mother-in-law is making a pecan pie cobbler. Mm-hmm. So kind of interested to try that, see what that's all about. Dude, I tell you, I don't eat it any other time of year. Dressing, some cornbread dressing. That's the only time of year I ever eat it. So I kind of look forward to that more than anything else, and just watching some football, enjoying time with kids.
It's kind of a weird holiday because you eat like that like one time a year. Like you said, you don't have dressing one time a year.
I know that they have it. Like they've got it at Junior's or the parish or wherever else. They've got it on the menu, but I don't ever order it.
Right. Yeah. Make sure you get out and run that morning before Thanksgiving, man. You got to get out there and get your run in.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about anything else from the meeting? I think that's really.
That was the big things. We did have a couple things that didn't.
Do you want to talk about the Winningham? I think that's your area, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a couple. There was a couple lots there that were getting finalized, final plat approval.
Didn't they change a road or something?
It turned into a cove.
Yeah,
I think.
That's right.
But
yeah.
That neighborhood's still kind of getting developed along. There's been some drainage concerns there that we're keeping our eye on, and that I asked about while we were there, and the developer's doing everything he can to make that happen. But then we had the Gilbreath PUD out there at Holly Springs and Getwell Road. That one's getting final plat approval, 48 homes out there with 5 common open spaces for that neighborhood out there. That's I guess a Butch Davis development out there, and he's getting going on that. I think there's been some trees cleared out there to get that thing going, in case you've noticed it. And then the city bought a couple knuckle boom trucks, so that is your brush.
The old knuckle boom, huh?
Yeah, your brush trucks that come by and pick up all the limbs and whatnot. The 2 that we have are, I think they had to weld the chassis on one of them to keep it in service, and so it's time to get a new one. So we bought a used one using a reversed auction bid. We had $109,000 for one of those, and then a brand new one for $180,000. There was over $300,000, I think, budgeted for the entire thing, right? I think that's what the mayor was saying.
Yeah, I think we're going to save a little money. This is the
a few bucks on it.
I think we talked about on the show, and it was been out there. I think when we were talking about our budget, that there was an idea to purchase some land behind the
that's right.
Public Works building, and we decided not to do that, and we used that money to basically buy these 2 trucks. So we needed one, so we got a brand new one and then a used one. So now we should. So this means, Lee, if you're listening to this, Lee, that means there should be no more issues with stuff sitting on the side of the road, right? You should have it all picked up right away. No issues,
it
right?
Should be, yeah. There's no, and I asked the question before. I was like, is there any new technology? Like, is there like a camera on these things or like a GPS locator or something? There's not apparently, but that's the latest on that. The other thing that's coming up, in town is December 2nd is the chamber
Christmas parade,
Candyland. Christmas parade, so I know that we'll be participating in that. The city will have a really great. That's always a great time. 100%. Please keep your kids from running in the street when the parade is going on. But there will be candy flowing. There will be all the things. So
are you driving the car again this year, man? You drive too fast last time. The last parade, you drove too fast. Slow it down.
I am not driving this time. I'm not driving this time. So we have. Apparently, there's some good things getting put together for that. So we will have we should have a pretty good looking float, pretty good looking deal that's going.
We're doing a float again.
There's some city employees have been working on that and coming up with a plan. Good. So looking forward to be a part of that. But happy Thanksgiving to all y'all out there. Give thanks for the fact that we live in this great country. And I spoke with the Mayor's Youth Council not too long ago, and the Mayor's Youth Council is made up of probably over 100 kids from Hernando High School that kind of learn about local government and how how cities function and how government functions, and got a chance to speak with them. And I told those kids, y'all don't realize it because you've always probably been here, but the day you were born in the United States of America, you basically won the lottery compared to a lot of other places in the world. We are so blessed to have so many things that we have, and then to be where we are here. In Hernando, Mississippi, we have a lot of great things that a lot of other places don't have. We have a great family atmosphere, a great community. So people need to be told that sometimes, and reminded of that. That we're super blessed, and we don't have to deal with a lot of the problems other cities do, and other communities do, and other countries do.
That's right.
So definitely be thinking about that as you're celebrating Thanksgiving. Thank a veteran for the fact that we're able to celebrate Thanksgiving.
Well, one thing I want to bring up, Ben, before we leave, is get out of here is, Christmas shopping's coming up, and there's a lot of small businesses, local businesses in Hernando that would love to have your business. So instead of clicking on Amazon, maybe stop in those stores and buy some things from those items. And there's 4 or 5 different boutiques in town that would love to have your business. So don't forget about them when you're doing your Christmas shopping.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos doesn't need a 15th house or whatever with your purchase from Amazon. Try to help out some of those local stores on the square and all around town, because we've got a lot of really good ones. And they are really, really. I tell you, some of those store owners, when I need help, like, hey, listen, Mrs. Piper is not really having the best week. What do I need to go home with? They know. They all talk to each other, so they know exactly, hey, this will, she had her eye on this. Okay, great.
Boom.
Perfect.
Boom.
Out of the doghouse, so you got to, gentlemen, I'm telling you, you get to know these ladies, get to know these store owners. They can help you out. So
there you go.
Firsthand experience right there. But well, Chad, I think that's all we got for this episode. I appreciate y'all listening, and appreciate you supporting the Boardroom podcast and listening to us every week. Happy Thanksgiving. For now, I'm Ben Piper.
I'm Chad Wicker. Thanks for listening.
train.